Well, let's have a look at Donald Trump's removal of people from the United States into prisons in South America.
Yeah, I mean, we reported on this with some pretty disturbing videos, if you remember, of Donald Trump illegally deporting immigrants of all nationalities, but in particular 200 Venezuelans that were claimed to be gang members or in some media reported as being terrorists. But of course, they were deported without any due legal process whatsoever. And recently, for example, this is an article in Politico, there has been recent moves for actually the repatriation of many of the Venezuelan deportees in return for 10 American citizens to be sent back eventually to the US by the Venezuelan government. But I just want to remind people of what the San Salvador center, that one of the toughest prisons in Latin America, a pioneer project for Bukele, the president of San Salvador. This was a Reuters report back then, which shows the conditions for the prisoners.
The U.S. has sent hundreds of mostly Venezuelan migrants to be held without trial at this mega prison in El Salvador. It's known as CCOT, an acronym for Terrorism Confinement Center in Spanish. The prison opened in February 2023 as part of Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele's highly popular hardline security policy, which has resulted in a sharp drop in homicides. El Salvador claims it is Latin America's biggest, with capacity for 40,000 inmates. It stretches across 57 acres and is located in an isolated rural region east of the capital, San Salvador. Bukele has said the prison cost $115 million to develop and equip. Video taken from inside the facility often shows prisoners tightly packed together.
So extraordinary, horrendous conditions that these probably majority innocent detainees were being held in. And this basically was something that happened back in May, where Venezuela's government has launched a campaign demanding the return of 2-year-old Michele Espinosa Bernal, who remains in U.S. custody after both her parents were deported without her. Her parents were accused of being gang members without any evidence or criminal charges. Her mother was deported to Venezuela, while her father was sent to El Salvador and imprisoned indefinitely without charge in the notorious secret prison. So let's just have a look at the photo of the family prior to the deportation of the parents. Now, since then, I'm happy to report that the Venezuelan government has campaigned and the baby has been returned to her parents, with the father having been released in the latest deal with the United States from the CCOT prison in San Salvador. And now, of course, what is happening is that Venezuela is accusing El Salvador of torturing the migrants under their control in the CCOT prison. The Attorney General, Tarek Saab, said Monday that his office will investigate President Nayib Bukele and 2 officials over alleged abuse of Venezuelans detained in El Salvador. And let's see what he actually said in the report, which is on France 24. Detainees suffered human rights abuses ranging from sexual abuse to beatings, were denied medical care or treated without anesthesia and given food and water that made them ill, Saab said at a press conference. Some detainees showed obvious signs of torture and injuries, including missing teeth, bruising, and scars, which were said to be as a result of the abuse they suffered in what appears to be nothing more than another CIA black site. And I just want to show this video of the return of the American prisoners from Venezuela to San Salvador. And then it'll be followed by images of the Venezuelan detainees returning to Caracas. And you can see the difference between the two.
10 U.S. detainees held in Venezuela waved American flags as they touched down in El Salvador on Friday. The group, en route to the U.S., is part of a coordinated prisoner exchange. Over 200 Venezuelans who were deported from the U.S. on allegations of gang membership earlier this year and detained in an El Salvador jail, arrived home to Caracas. U.S. President Donald Trump had invoked the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to swiftly deport them to El Salvador's notorious CCOT maximum security prison. The deportations drew fierce criticism from human rights groups and a legal battle with the Trump administration over allegations that due process was not followed. Family members and lawyers representing many of the detained Venezuelans deny they had gang ties, and lawyers say they were not given a chance to contest the Trump administration's allegations in court.
And of course, there are benefits for San Salvador and Nayib Bukele as a result of him providing the prison area for these deportees to be kept and clearly tortured. And so this was an article in the last few days from the New York Times, how El Salvador is reaping rewards from Trump's deportation agenda. And let's have a look at what it actually says. So in part of the article, they say that an investigation led by the New York Times found that the US government not only paid Mr. Bukele's government around $5 million to incarcerate more than 200 Venezuelan deportees, but added a bonus at his request: the return to El Salvador of several top MS-13 leaders in American custody. MS-13 are basically a San Salvador gang that originated in Los Angeles to ostensibly protect refugees from San Salvador during the Civil War. And then basically, if we consider that what might happen with this project that has been launched by Bukele and profited from by Trump, of course, this could lead to the replication of these kind of prisons and detention centers across Latin America, just as we saw previously in the Middle East, to act as detention centers for deportees and torture centers for anyone that the US deems to be ready for deportation. But then I also wanted to show, this is actually an article in The Telegraph that was published today. Inside Alligator, Alcatraz, prisoners describe nightmare conditions. And if we have a look at the content of the article itself, cooped up like chickens in cages, eaten alive by bloodthirsty mosquitoes, and living in cells said to be awash with human waste and filth. They're just some of the appalling conditions described at Alligator, Alcatraz, the Florida prison, which has become the latest symbol of the Trump administration's uncompromising attitude on immigration enforcement. Built on the site of an abandoned airstrip deep in Florida's Everglades, set in a mosquito-ridden swamp, infested with pythons and crawling with alligators, the mega jail can house up to 3,000 migrants. There's only one road. The only way is out through a one-way flight, declared Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, last month. And I think one of the more frightening aspects of this, which is where I bring in the comparison to what is happening in Gaza and effectively across the Middle East, this was a statement from a Venezuelan detainee in this Alcatraz. The conditions in which we are living are inhuman. My main concern is the psychological pressure they're putting on people to sign their own self-deportation. Well, that reminds me very much of the situation in Gaza, where people are being forced to go through such horrific conditions that they will be forced to leave of their own volition.
Thank you for that, Vanessa. Thank you. Quite grim. And as you say, we'll be sort of linking that to what's going on in Gaza later on in the program. Before we get there, though, we'd just like to say thank you once again to anybody and everybody that is supporting the UK column. We do need your ongoing financial support. So if you can possibly do that, please click on the button on the front page of the UK column website, and you can see the various ways that you can support us. If you can't support us financially, then please at least share our material, and that helps greatly as well. Now, tonight on Jerem Warfare, Jerem will be speaking to Austrian Scott, and he's going to be talking about debunking myths about China. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. on the live stream, Brian will be speaking to Lynn Lopez Salcedo, who is Israeli, but former Zionist, becoming an anti-Zionist, and she'll be talking about that journey. I saw a few other advertisements here on Friday, on Friday evening. Andrew Bridgen will be speaking in the Seven Stars Hotel in Totnes. Tickets are going fast for that. I urge everybody that would like to go that, anybody that's in the Southwest, please do consider going to it and grab your ticket on Eventbrite if you possibly can. Tickets are available on the door, but as I say, tickets are going fast, so probably best if you possibly can to book in advance. And then on Saturday, the Glasgow Peace Rally, Stand for Peace, is hosting the latest Glasgow Peace Rally in Glasgow. It starts at 12 p.m. Details will be in the show notes, but get along to that if you possibly can. And Sandy, very briefly then, welcome to the programme, first of all, but very briefly, the Glastonbury event that's been on and off and on and off is apparently on again.
It's finally on, and it's on private land in Langport in Somerset, celebrating freedom of speech with Clive de Clare, Richard Vopes and myself. Arrive at 1 p.m. I'll be speaking about all things 2030 as usual. And there's a wood-fired pizza and a bar open till 11 p.m. And it's the Hacienda, Windmill Lane, TA10 9EP. So come along and enjoy. Freedom of speech.
Brilliant, thank you. And then finally, well, no, not quite finally, almost finally, the Hope Festival. We will all be at the Hope Festival, and we're in charge of a tent for a whole day, Charles, for speaking events.
Believe it or not, we are. Yeah, no, that would be a terrific day. All day Saturday, UK Column have the tent, so get to the event first and then get to the tent.
And then finally, the UK Column on location event. The date for the diary is the 18th of October 2025. The topic's going to be health. Tickets going on sale on Monday, the 28th. That's this coming Monday. And we'll have details of speakers and so on for you then. So, well, anything else to add?
Well, I think to make the point that tickets, both in person and live stream tickets, will be going on sale on Monday. So if you know you're not going to be able to make it in person, don't worry, you will be able to get your live stream ticket immediately.
Okay, now, Charles,